guys are wondering if I'm wearing the same thing every day, the answer is yes. I'm rotating through like 4 different tank tops because I've been exiting out of this reset season, and it's been a season of really a lot of work to clean out some of the past, take care of some personal things, and so wardrobe hasn't really been on my mind. Headbands, sunglasses, and I wear a tinted sunscreen, a natural tinted sunscreen, and that's it. I like to get the vitamin D and I like the sun, so I don't lather up any of the toxic stuff. Personally, that's just me. So if you are in a season where you're simplifying, just find what is comfortable and wear that every day. Remember, life is about, there's seasons, there's different seasons in life. And one of the things that I don't like to do is linger in a past season. I want to get it done. I want to get it taken care of. It's a slow-paced life in a fast way, in like a way where you're moving confidently forward in the direction that you want to go, but you're prioritizing. So if you know that a season is up, a season in life that you're just holding on to, what you're doing is you're delaying that what's fresh. You're delaying what God's trying to do, what he's trying to bring forth for you. You're delaying it because you're holding on to something that he's trying to take out of your hand. He's trying to help you let go of that so you can experience something new. And in life, you want to have experiences, the things that you've never experienced, the good things. It's going to be a little scary because you've never experienced it, but there is so much you can learn from new situations. So if you know that God is moving you out of a different season and you just feel that kind of beckoning, like, you know what, there's something new. I don't know what it is, but I can sense it. There's something new kind of birthing on the inside of me. Then lean into that, really lean into that, because God can use you and he wants to use you in a great way. It's going to benefit you and it's going to benefit the people around you, and he's going to use your life to be a living example of what it looks like to walk by faith. And the faith walk is really not a walk. It's a roller coaster. So when you start your faith walk, or if you're on your faith walk, you know what I'm talking about. It is a roller coaster. It's ups and downs. Some days you feel like you're losing, and some days you feel like you're winning, and you're like, okay, God, what are you doing? Where are you taking me? I have no idea. But that's kind of part of the deal. It's part of letting go and letting God, that term that Jesus take the wheel, and you're letting God. So it is, you're doing what you can. Your actions are aligning with his word. So you are congruent with that. You're not doing something opposite, but you're still letting him lead. So you're partnering up, you're walking, you're the hands and the feet, you're doing what he needs you to do on this earth, and you're really working on not being distracted on frivolous things that don't mean anything. And the things that are robbing your time or stealing your joy and your peace. And I'm getting messages from people that disagree with some of the things that I've been talking about. That's totally fine. These are controversial. Some people want to spend their life holding on to the weight of others, problems for years, because they feel like they're doing that person a service, even if the person does not want to change, or doesn't even want their help, or doesn't even think that they need the help. If that's what you want to do, that's on you. These messages are specifically for the people who are like, you know what? I'm desiring for something different. I know that God's bringing me higher. I know that my habits are hurting me and my family and the people around me. I might have a problem with consuming or overeating or gossiping, or I'm drinking too much, and little things that are producing. They're not little things, they're big things. But sometimes when it's a little at a time, it doesn't seem like a big deal. It's like, oh, I only have a glass of wine every night. Well, it's a little bit all the time. So it's the habits. It's also like, well, I only look for great deals. Okay, so every time you spend $5, $10, $15, that adds up. Little things spoil everything. It's the little habits that you have to get under control. So these messages are mainly to give you a tangible way, a reminder. This is why I do short talks frequently because they're reminders. If you're tuning in, these are the reminders. I'm like the friend who tells you the truth and doesn't tell you just what you want to hear, because we need the truth. The truth sets you free. That means that when you get honest, when you get to the truth of something, it sets you free about that situation or that issue that you're dealing with, because now you can work from that. You're like, okay, we have the truth is here, and now we can deal with it. So if you're not even being honest with yourself, or the person in your spouse is not being honest with themselves about whatever problem that they might have, you have to start there. You have to start with being honest and really take a look at the results that you're getting. Now, I always say that the results tell the truth, but a lot of times you're in the middle. So for example, if you're trying to lose weight and somebody looks at you and says, well, you don't look like you work out, so the results tell the truth, because you must not work out, because I'm looking at you and that's the result. Well, there's a gestational period. Just like when a woman's pregnant, there's a gestational period till the baby's born. So just because you made the decision and you followed up with some action, it's going to take time to reverse. It's going to take time to turn that ship around. It's going to take time to lose the weight. It's going to take time to pay off the credit cards that you might have. It's going to take time to make those positive changes. That's the hard part. So if you're going through that time, I would suggest not sharing it with everybody. That was a time where I was very obscure. I did not expose all those things to everybody because I was in the middle of it myself. So it was messy looking. I didn't look, I was working on things. It's like when you pull everything out of a closet and you're like, I'm going to get through stuff. It's a giant mess. And then people are like, whoa, you have so much stuff, judging you. Look at all that stuff you have. Well, they probably have the same thing. Don't show them until you're done. Or document it and keep it to yourself, but you don't have to share everything with everybody. And because a lot of times people will take, when you're in the middle of something, and they'll turn it against you and they'll use that to judge you. And they'll say, well, clearly you're not doing, your results don't tell the truth because look at what you're going through. Okay, well, maybe you charged up credit cards for years like I did. I charged up credit cards for years. I talk about it all the time. It takes time to pay that off. Unless you have $10 million. No, I didn't charge that much, but you know what I'm saying? Unless you have a big chunk of money, just be like, okay, I'm paying all this off. You're doing what you can. Okay, well, yeah, so the debt's still there until it's all paid off. But eventually, it's going to be paid off. Eventually, you won't be living in the residual of the past. But for a time period, you will be living in the residual of your past choices until it's gone. And that is normal. So during that time, keep your circle small. Just keep the people that they know what you're going through, they know what you're dealing with, and they're not going to point and judge and say things like that. Just keep it as small as you can. Do what you can. Keep moving forward. Make the changes that you have to change. Be honest with yourself. You're not going to be perfect every single day. You're going to fall back because those habits are really strong. Those habits, and when you've been a certain way for so long, just expect those things to pop up. You are going to fall back sometimes. You're going to fail, but just keep going, because a little at a time, progress, any progress in the right direction is progress, whether it's 1 step, 2 steps, as long as you're moving in the right direction most of the time and you're not going backwards. It's like you can't take, when people say 1 step forward, 2 steps back, well, yeah, you're going backwards. You have to be going forward more than you're going back. One of the things I noticed is that there's not a lot of people talking about this. I would tune into YouTube. I'd be like, okay, I need a good message to just like slap me around, tell me what to do. And I couldn't tune in. It was really hard because all of these, not all of them, I've heard some really good messages that have helped, but a lot of them, none of them were really like tangible. They were all kinds of like metaphorically speaking things. Like I would tune into a lot of Christian messages and be like, well, you're the salt of the earth. Okay, well, what does that mean? What do I do? How am I the salt? What does that mean for my day-to-day life? I need to know what steps to make. And so I searched for like really clear, like clarity on some of these answers on, well, how do I navigate through this type of situation? And if you lived a certain way for a long time, or you were raised a certain way, or you were raised poor, then it's hard to undo those things, because to you it might be normal when it's not supposed to be that way. It's like you grow up thinking that dysfunction is normal, and then you become a dysfunctional adult because you think it's normal, and it's not normal. And then you pay for therapists to talk about your problems, and it feels good, you're talking about it, but then what? How do you get to the root? How do you change these things? Well, for me, this is just what has worked for me. I start with the end and I go backwards. And I start with, what does that person look like that's not dysfunctional, or does not have those type of maybe health problems? What does a healthy me look like? What does a person who doesn't have debt look like? What does a person who lives in freedom look like? And I had to see myself that way first before I could ever become. You have to see yourself that way first. So you have to look at that. So if you are trying to lose weight or get healthy, live healthy, have a healthy lifestyle, what does that look like and feel like? Because your body, your actions follow your thoughts and your words. So you're thinking it, then you're speaking it, and then you're doing it. So those three things have to align. If you're thinking, I'm fat, I'm huge, I'm this, I'm gross, I'm disgusting, okay, what are you going to do about it? Use that to turn into motivation to get healthy. But somewhere along in there, you have to stop saying, I know people have gone to AA and they're always reaffirming that they're an alcoholic. And I always thought, well, why are you reaffirming what you don't want to be? You keep telling yourself that. Well, then you keep... Now, I don't know if that works or not, but to me, that just seemed like you're reaffirming the same thing over and over. And you're trying not to be that, so why do you keep saying you're that? So anyways, use it, like admit it. That's being honest with yourself. Okay, I did this, or I am this. You admit it. That's when you're getting honest with yourself, but you can't stay there. Okay, well, what am I going to do different? And paint the picture of who it is that you want to be. What does your new house look like? Does it look like a cluttered place with stuff everywhere? Do you have 50 purses and 100 pair of shoes? Or do you have, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a lot of stuff or a big closet or anything like that. I'm just saying, if that's something that you're dealing with or struggling with, again, this part of the message is for you. So, but you have to get honest with it, and then you have to look at, well, what does the person look like? What does it look like when I walk into my closet? Is it clean? Is it orderly? Do I have just what I need? Do I walk in, I'm like, oh, I'm tripping over this trash bag. Oh, there's shoes everywhere. I don't even know. I can't find this. And when was the last time I wore this dress? Oh, I'm saving that for a long time. Or, is it just like a mess, a chaotic mess? Because, that you're basically, you continue to keep telling yourself that over and over and over. So you have to get clear of, what do I look like? What does this healthy version of me look like? What does this home look like? What do my closets look like? What does that feel like? And you will start moving into action once you get clear on that. It sounds weird, but the man goes where the mind, or the mind goes, man follows where the mind goes, or whatever that saying is. But you move into action. You think it, you speak it, and you do it. And I would write it down. I used to write down, like, what do I look like? What's my goal weight? What do I feel like? And it wasn't even about weight. It was like, what does my body feel like? I wake up and I'm feeling great and I'm excited for life. And, I wanted to feel that even when I didn't have it. And so that's part of the self-image, because your life is a reflection of your self-image and how you see yourself. It's not necessarily where you live or how big your house is. Like, your house isn't a self-image of like, oh, I have a big house, so I'm a big shot. It has nothing to do with that. You could live in a small place and have a beautiful self-image of yourself. So it's not necessarily, oh, well, my big house dictates how great I am or anything like that. So don't take this the wrong way. But generally speaking, your life is a self-image, is a mirrored image of how you view yourself, what you think. Like, people that have a lot of stuff going on in their mind, most of the time, their house is cluttered. Their drawers are cluttered. I've dealt with a lot of clients who have stuff everywhere, like mixed in. Maybe not visual, but when you open that drawer, it's like, whoa, okay, here's the mind, here's all of the stuff. So you get honest with yourself, but you can't stay there. You got to move on. Sometimes nobody's rooting for you but yourself. You're the only one, and everyone, it's really between you and God. These talks just go in all different directions. So if I'm on a totally different subject from the beginning, I'm sorry. I just let the Holy Spirit take over, and I just start talking, and it ends up where it ends up. The goal is to have an abundant life, live in freedom in all areas, not living in bondage, even bondage that other people put on you from your past, carrying weight around, physical, spiritual, mental. You're crushing underneath the weight of what you're carrying from your past or from relationships or people. And then that comes into your home and you feel like you're being crushed under the weight of stuff that you have. And it's a heaviness. And right now, you need to be liberated and walk in that lightness, excited for life and that zeal. You're walking in your purpose, you're flourishing. And it's really difficult to do, but you can do it. Start with what you have, start with where you are. Start by going through, getting rid of nonsense, relationships that aren't going anywhere. Just pause them for a while. It's okay to put up boundaries, and it's okay to focus during certain seasons. Like I said, when I went through a lot of this, I went in a very obscure season. I pulled back. Just like the tide pulls back before it goes out, you have to pull back. And I did. I put up boundaries. I didn't accept every invitation. I wasn't in the mental space to do it. I was working on myself and my husband and trying to focus on rebuilding a life. And so I had to say no. And some people took it hard. They were just like, well, you're really mean. You never want to go anywhere with me. And I didn't talk like that, but I want to hang out and you're not answering my calls. And I just said, I just need time right now. I just need time, and I'm working on myself. And really, I don't owe you an explanation why. And you don't owe people an explanation why all the time. You don't owe them your life. Just take care of what you got to take care of. And then ask God for clarity in the relationships, so you can have meaningful, deep relationships that you can cultivate. And, I've had to let some friendships and relationships go that were just time consuming and gossiping and whining and complaining and year over year and after year. And some of them were family members, and you're just like, well, whatever, you can love people without being in relation with them. Stop feeling guilty that you have to be like this with everybody. God calls you to love and forgive. Pray for that person, love, forgive, but you don't have to be in relation with them. Know your ground. Stay in your lane. If you're a spouse and you're a parent, your lane is there. That's your family. It's not the spouse's extended family and this mother-in-law and this person, and I have to give an explanation, or I'm going to feel guilty if I don't do what they told me to do. There's a lot of manipulative people, narcissistic people, and people who just want to use you, complain to you, suck your energy, steal your joy, steal your peace. But you are letting them. So you have to be the one to change and say, no, I'm not going to allow this in my life anymore. I'm putting up boundaries. Anyways, if anyone has anything specific that you want to talk about or go over or discuss, or you're just feeling like stuck, let's chat about it. See if we can find a solution, an opportunity in your distress, or a window that, might, a perspective that maybe you didn't see before, or something like that. So we can live in freedom and help one another to come up higher, live an elevated life, simplified, simple. You're cutting the fat, you're pruning, so you can produce good fruit. You can run your race. You have the ability to do that because you're healthy, you're taking care of your health, and you're full of joy and peace. That's the goal.